Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Please forgive my ignorance, but why is there a need for 4 different madhabs in Islam? Isn't the law in the Quran enough for all Muslims, regardless of locations and time periods?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. That is a good question that you are asking. The question is asking, why do you need 4 mazhabs? Isn't the Quran enough? The Quran is saying?
Isn't the law in the Quran enough?
The law
Yes.
and the Quran.
In the Quran enough?
Isn't the law in the Quran, isn't it enough for everyone, all times, everywhere? Why do we need 4 mazhab? The question itself, it is showing as if there is a difference between mazhab and Quran. As if mazhab is one thing and Quran is another thing. Yes? What is mazhab? Before we get into what is mazhab, let's look at what is Quran. Quran. Did Quran come down as a book like today when we talk about Quran, we take the Quran and we open and we read, right? Did the Quran come down as a book from the sky to all the Sahabis? No. The Quran came to who? The Prophet ﷺ. When the Quran came to the Prophet ﷺ, he was reciting it, and after 23 years, the whole Quran was complete. Yes? The last ayat came. It was complete. And so many Sahabis, they were memorizing everything, and the order of everything, memorizing it. Prophet was there, ﷺ. Were the Sahabis going to the Quran to take guidance from the Quran? To take the laws from the Quran? Or were they taking it from the Prophet? For whom the Quran came to? Which one? Understand, Sahabis, now they have the Quran, or they memorize the Quran. Did they ever not consult with the Prophet when he was there? No, of course not, because they are companions. Because they know Quran came to the Prophet. If Allah wanted, He could have sent the Quran to everyone, but He didn't. The divine protocol is every book came with the Prophet. The Prophet is explaining it. The Prophet is explaining it. So the Sahabi Kiram at that time, they were following whose mazhab? Mazhab means a school. Whose mazhab? The Prophet's mazhab. Because he was the one. And he was taking from the Quran. And he did not say, now that you have the Quran, no need to follow me. I mean, it doesn't fit into intelligence. So now they're still following the Prophet ﷺ, who then explained what the Quran is. The Prophet passed ﷺ from this world. Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq is there. Did the Sahabis now say, well, yeah, we follow the Prophet, but now he's passed, why we have to follow you? We have the Quran already. Why we have to follow you or your way? Did they say that? No, it didn't. They didn't. And in the Prophet's time, when he is teaching some Sahabis, all of the Sahabis he was teaching, but some Sahabis he says, now your work is to go take these teachings and go to this remote area. Go to this tribe, go to this other area and bring them this message. Now those people staying in those areas there, they did not have access to the Prophet ﷺ. Correct? So when the Sahabi, they go and they teach, the people there, some of them, they could also memorize the Quran. But who were they following to teach them Islam? The Quran or the one that the Prophet appointed to teach the Quran and Islam. Now this is common sense. So this is called a mazhab. So even in the Prophet's time, ﷺ, as our Shaykh says, there were 124,000 mazhab, because there were 124,000 sahabis. And the Prophet says, my sahabis, they are like stars in the sky. Take any one of them, hold on to them, and they will lead you to truth, to Allah, to me. So every sahabi was a mazhab. Mazhab meaning what? The one who is going to explain, who is going to open up, who has the knowledge, and he has been appointed to teach. So, now, is there a difference between the mazhab and the Quran? No, there isn't. Why do you need to explain? Why can't you just read? I mean, Sahabis, they were all, most of them, I mean all of them, they were Arabs. Some coming from different tribes, but Arab meaning they were able to speak Arabic. As the Prophet says, those who can speak Arabic, I consider you an Arab. They all spoke Arabic better than all of us. Yes? Obviously. Yet, they did not go directly to the Quran. None of them. And those who took the Quran directly, there are some people, and they're not following the Sahabis, or those ones who's been given the authority and the knowledge to teach the Quran. Those ones, for example, who says, we're praying only 3 times, because Quran is mentioning 3 times, and the Prophet prayed 5 times. Or those ones who say, we don't have to follow anyone, we only follow the Quran. The Sahabis themselves saying, declaring war on them. And saying, this is deviation, this is wrong, this is gunah. You have to follow the authority, the one who is going to explain. Because if you don't follow the ones who are going to explain to the Quran, who has been appointed, you are going to follow your ego. You're going to follow your shaitan. Then you're going to read the same Quran, but instead of going to Jannat, it's going to bring you to Jahannam. And that is an ayat. So now the mazhab, imams, they are the ones who are explaining and opening up and giving direction to people how to follow the Quran. There is no difference now between the mazhab and the Quran. Why are there 4 mazhabs? Because these are the 4 that is explaining everything, looking at everything, and they are the most knowledgeable ones. Before, there may be hundreds, but they become so knowledgeable, they become so strong, they become so popular. Understand, this religion, Islam, is not in the hands of scholars, is not the hand of any man. Allah is saying, I will protect this religion. So things as they move along with this religion, it is with the protection of Allah and His Prophet. So 4 mazhab imams, after a certain while, these are the teachings that appeal most to the people, make sense, that they're able to carry, so that a person is not going to have confusion when he reads the Quran. The Quran says pray 3 time periods in a day. From that time until now, there are people who make deviation and says the Quran is saying 3 times. It's not 5 times. 5 times is a bid'at. They're saying that about the Prophet. Then what do you read in your prayer? Quran is not saying, first you must say the Takbiratul Ihram, first you must make the niyat, Takbiratul Ihram, facing the Kaaba, reciting Fatiha. And Quran is saying that. This is simple example. Quran is not saying that. But who is taking this from the Quran that Allah has said to do? Who is doing this? It's not you or me. It is the one that the Quran says, follow that one, which is the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So the mazhab imams are those ones who takes the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ about the Quran. Because now the question is also not including the hadith. You just say there's the Quran, mazhab, and the laws in the Quran. But there is a hadith. The hadith is explaining the Quran. The hadith is the explanations of the Prophet for 23 years explaining the Quran. You cannot take the Prophet out. You do that, you become like Yahudi. They say La ilaha illallah, but they're not following their prophets. Our shahadat is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and we are Ahli Sunnat, protecting the Sunnat, the practices of the Prophet ﷺ. So now the mazhab imams are those ones who like the Prophet, as the Prophet is also saying ﷺ, the scholars of my nation, they are my inheritors, alims. And these are the ones that their stations of knowledge and their stations of love and intelligence is above everyone else for that time and until all times. And they are able to then transmit the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ in the real, true way and an easy way for people to understand. So even amongst the four mazhab imams, you have a rank. Don't make no mistake, because everyone is speaking in English these days. Don't make no mistake, this language is not neutral. Every word that we're using has a history, has a meaning. Sometimes the meaning deviates from the original meaning. Sometimes the meaning also takes from the original meaning, but it cannot translate from our own languages, and it cannot translate from the meanings of the Quran. Don't think that mazhabs are sects. You understand? When you say sect, like you have the Roman Catholics, you have the Orthodox, you have the Protestants and all, sect in the language is meaning sectors, sections, and they are, when you put religiously, religious sects means they are fighting with one another. They hate one another, they fight one, they want to finish one another. Don't make no mistake, that is not in Islam. When you talk about four mazhabs, these are not sects. These are like four highways. In a highway, and there are four, how you say?
Lanes.
Huh? Slain?
Lanes.
Lanes. In a highway, 4 lanes. Reaching to the same direction, but 4 lanes. If you want to go a little bit slow, and you want to make a detour, don't be in the left lane. Yes? You go to the right lane. If you want to go fast, go to the left lane. So these four mazhabs, they are slightly different from each other, but each is agreeing with one another, and their differences is a blessing. Because the Prophet ﷺ, for one thing, he might have for one action, for example, just the action of praying, he might have different actions at different times that he is doing. So the Imams is saying, understanding with that high intelligence what is needed for this situation, these people, these times, the most afdal, the most blessed way, Imam Abu Hanifa is saying you must hold like this. And Imam Malik is saying, Prophet ﷺ, yes, he did this, but he also prayed like this, with his hands down in a different situation. They understand all of that and say, for this time, for these people, this is what we are saying, it is good. It is the best to do. So people who follow, they say it's like this. Those who are fighting, we never have people fighting except for these times now, because everyone tries to be a scholar. They try to be a scholar without any adab. So they start fighting. Without knowing anything, they just challenge people. The West is teaching us this. So in the past, there is no craziness like that. So now you're going to pick. In that situation there, Imam Shafi'i is saying something else, but taking from the Prophet and saying this is the best. Imam Abu Hanifa is saying, Prophet wasn't agreeing, he's doing that also, that is good. But in our knowledge, this is better. And this one is saying in our knowledge, this is better. You have a choice according to the area that you live in. But nobody now, for a very, very long time, they have the same capacity of spiritual knowledge and religious knowledge to be able to have an understanding of the Quran and what the Prophet brought, to be able to open a new way, a new lane. Is enough now. So, your question is a good question, but consider this. Why do you need governors and high court judges and lawyers if the Constitution is there for us to learn the laws from? No person in the right mind says, in any country in the world, that says we don't need judges and administrators and lawyers and even policemen to tell us what the law is, because there is the Constitution. We go straight to the Constitution, and because everything in the country is derived from the Constitution, no? But nobody thinks like that. They say, of course we need. So, there is safety in that. The one without a mazhab will fall into error. And the first ones to deny the mazhab in the modern times, in the 1700s, are the Wahhabis. May Allah protect us. Assalamu alaikum.